You're on, Stacy.
Hi, everyone. Jim. We're live at Epic headquarters. First of all, I wanted to start off by saying thank you so much for all your entries for the contest. It's been going really well, your favorite UT memories. It's going so well, in fact, we're going to add a second prize, which is going to be 4 Unreal Tournament t-shirts, and a third prize, which will be your choice of one of the Unreal Tournament t-shirts. We're also going to extend it.
Do we have the shirts?
Huh?
Do we have the shirts?
I don't have the shirts, but you can see them on the store, epic.gm/UT store. You can go over and check the shirts out. And we'll also be putting a new shirt on the store this week. Hopefully this week. It may be next week, but it's coming. Not in time for you to get for Christmas, but soon after.
Maybe.
And here it is. It's Shane Cottle's original design. Everybody was saying, you know, why can't we get one of those shirts? Well, now you'll be able to. And on the back, we call out 15 years of fragging of Unreal Tournament. So
those are very similar to the ones we gave for the community event. But
very similar.
Those did say community event on them, so they
had
still
the date
exclusive.
And but pimps our website, unrealtournament.com. So also for the contest, I was getting a lot of people saying, "Oh my gosh, I forgot about it. Can you hold off a day or so?" But we'll do it another week because everybody was really enjoying doing it. We love reading them. There's people talking about lands and how they love the taunts and everything. So we'll read a few of them next week and we'll announce the winners.
Cool. That's good.
So first of all, we're going to take a look at someone's community map. Who is this? Do you know who it is?
Sid was the one who's been talking about it.
Oh my God.
Throw Sid under the bus.
It's okay.
Boom! Yes!
Under the microphone.
I have no idea.
Probably say something in the chat.
That is pretty horrible.
What's the name of the map?
It's called DM101 Erase.
The one-on-one map.
Yep. So we played this. Sid and I had a good round of this yesterday.
Yep.
Do you want to run around on there?
Or you run around, or I will.
Sure,
or
go for it.
Yes.
Oh, this is the one that we didn't get because we played some other ones
console.
yesterday too.
Yeah,
This
Sid
is the
and I
one
had
that
a
only
session
you
on this
guys
one.
got to play.
Yeah. So we had a good time on this one. It was a good arena style, pretty hardcore map.
Oh, it looks
Sort of a
awesome.
traditional one-on-one style.
Yeah. We had a few really good run-ins. If you drop down there, inside of the belt area here.
Belt area.
Yeah. There were a couple of times where the belt was about to respawn, and Sid kind of took the plunge to defend it, and I just completely
kind of
hammered him from above. It
similar placement to, I don't know, like maps like Raffinery.
Right.
Where it's like the
Can you
typical
see
down in the
Nope.
pit.
See, that's what you were saying, Nick. If only you could see the timer from here.
Exactly.
It would be so much better.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like that you have to put yourself in a
You have
risky
to
position
commit.
to read it. Like that, to me, that's what makes the timer work.
Is this flick switches by chance?
That sounds right. Yes.
Does that sound right?
Yeah,
Okay.
we should give him credit for his map.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really good. Oops, I just.
So this reminds me a little
Good
bit
wall
of one
dodges.
of my favorite UT3 maps, which was Idoma.
Oh yes, that was in the bonus pack, wasn't it? No, that was in the original.
That was
Yeah.
in the
And I think, oh wait, I might have the name wrong.
That was 2K4.
No, yeah, I'm thinking of a different one.
I think you might be thinking of Raffinery. I mean,
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
heavily.
Yep.
But yeah, there's a lot of, pretty hardcore dodge ramps all over the place. But the style they're done in is actually a lot more predictable and easy to do than
I love
the
this
style
full
for
slant
one-on-one.
slopes.
Yeah, Nick was saying that they're these kind of shorter height, which makes them a little bit easier and more.
Yeah, much easier
predictable.
to do.
Kind of reliably just step up right against it and it'll get you up.
Yeah.
Might also be easier to get some good visual language on something that's smaller too. So
Yeah.
that
I mean,
could
we
be some
really
good
liked the
idea.
layout in general. I mean, we didn't have a lot of feedback on the actual layout because it was
Yeah,
fun.
the layout played well. One tiny concern that I think you brought up was, if the amp was actually considered to be in play, it's kind of, if you turn left,
Oh, the damage amp, yeah.
it's up there, right above your head, on that little ledge.
Oh yeah, you can rocket
you
jump
actually,
up there.
you actually have to
yeah.
rocket jump or piston wall dodge to get there.
Piston wall,
which,
it's really hardcore.
it might be a little, yeah.
I like that personally. I know you don't, but
I mean, I like when you have that possibility, but I like it when you basically have that, but alongside of that, you have an alternate way that allows you to get up there, but takes a long time. So you can still kind of steal it away from somebody taking the regular way, but it's not too hardcore to where somebody else who's not as good as the game can just pick up the map and still run and grab
so
it and have fun with
not
it.
to divert from the map itself, but what are your thoughts on U-Damage in one-on-one?
I'm a European one-on-one player, so I'm going to be against it. But, I mean, that's not to say that it couldn't evolve to incorporate it. I don't know. I mean, it's basically kind of up to people playing, to be honest. Because it's one thing for us to say, oh, we'd like it to be this way. If people enjoy doing it the other way around and it ends up being the thing that survives and it's the most popular, then
I mean,
that's that.
I don't think there's any good answer, right? We've gone back and forth in the forums a lot.
It really depends on the level, I think.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. I kind of feel like if it's there, it's fair game.
I think what it does is it pushes the match into either extreme, because you could argue, oh, you have a good comeback chance against somebody who has control of a belt and an armor, but at the same time, you can also absolutely dominate somebody if you have timing down on all the things. So, I don't know. It's a bit of a mixed bag.
There's been a lot of talk in the forums and in our office too about ways we can change it to make it better. But the reason I do like it is because without it, a lot of times now, I feel like one-on-one matches tend to be determined very quickly. And like you said, it's one of those options that
some of them
there's a
before
good
they even
option
start.
for a turnaround. Yeah. I mean, people have obviously come back.
Well, we know how this is going to
So back to the level for a little bit.
Yeah, sorry.
So the main feedback that we had was actually more on kind of a visual polish, not to the point of actually having the level meshed or done more, but more to the point of having areas that are easier to identify, like visual landmarks.
Which you already have the kind of the trim color as a cool thing in there. It could be neat to just even play with that
and
a
the
little bit more.
missing tiles, those are good landmarks.
The tiles are actually a little bit snaggy, we noticed.
Yeah,
when you dodge,
you can get caught on that. So for some people, that's sort of like a favorite style thing from old UT maps and whatnot, to have the
I used to do that on the
odd floor
really
tile
close
out.
to it,
But
really
once it starts hurting gameplay, I'm not.
Well, I mean,
that in
the
favor of it.
easiest thing to do is
blocking volume.
don't make them so thick, and then B, you can just stop a blocking volume over there and smooth it out so that there is. It'll be invisible.
I'll make it like a little ramp,
and you'll run right over it. And once we get foot IK in, it won't matter because your collision cylinder won't.
Yeah.
So one thing that the level really needs is reflection capture actors around the level, which is why all of the metal things in the level are black, and why a lot of the lighting looks janky. So that's something that's really easy to put in. You can look around Sid's levels and around my levels.
Oh, just the
and
post
find out
example
how
map that we put up too.
Yeah,
right.
you can find out how they're set up because that's why everything's black in the
just
level
some
like that.
contrasting colors.
Yeah.
Actually, one thing too about that would help kind of landmark the map a bit better is that a lot of those tall structures kind of basically just end up looking like, if you look around to the top a little bit more, they all look a little bit sort of copy pasted around, which really kind of hurts recognizability in some of those spots because
it would be nice to have like a little bit of an area that's kind of going into
like spaces like this are cool because they actually give you a little bit of a different view, like something that's
Like
a little bit more indoors, something kind of
it's nice to have it on the
skylights
cover
up there,
area,
like
right?
that kind of stuff is neat. Would be cool to see that spread throughout more of the map.
An area with some water running, just like visual icons. Like they don't need to hurt gameplay whatsoever. There's
no, because all that stuff is completely removed from gameplay up there, basically, right? But,
so yeah, I think it's a really good level. I'm looking forward to seeing it progress.
Super solid layout.
Yeah. Something we haven't nailed down ourselves yet, I think, but in areas like this, I'm a big fan of making that a contrast or some recognizable thing so people know they should dodge there.
It was sort of neat in 2K4, I guess, with the way, because ramps were actually
had
to be
it was
manual
it's because it started as a bug, but
sure, but it also ended up being like a
good
gameplay actor that
did.
you specifically had to place to allow it in a certain space, right? But it did give you that visual landmark of, hey, you can do it here.
It's a good way to teach people too who aren't necessarily familiar with the game.
Yeah.
They can figure out, oh, that one area where everything is blah, that means I can always dodge there.
Right.
So should we look at another level?
Sure.
Yep.
Cool.
So good job. Keep it up.
Yep. Awesome.
Thank you, Flick Switch. This is very
and
awesome.
The other one we have is
I can't wait to play this
TDM
one. Can we play this one today?
hydraulics. What's that?
Can we play this one today in the playtest? The
We played
one-on-one?
yesterday. Oh, we ran out of time at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to play that one.
Music.
This one is Hydraulics by Raced. I assume that's how he pronounces his name. Should actually give
you turn the volume
armor or U damage.
That's a keg that spawns on there, I think.
Yeah. Sydney loves the keg. Should put it in all of your maps.
I will love the keg once we get the messaging improved.
So what did you guys make of the level?
So I think we had a fairly good time playing FFA.
Particularly in this room.
Yes.
Yeah, you get a
feel
lot
like
of
the
action
strong
there.
point.
Everybody seemed to congregate around this area right here.
And up the top, actually,
Up here.
is where everyone would go. Yeah.
Yep. Having a trap is neat.
Oops.
one overall, I think, trend that we ended up seeing across the map as we were playing is that a lot of the spaces feel a little bit linear.
Particularly in the lower sections.
So, I mean, this area played nice because you actually had different approaches of people coming in, so there was some variance going on from where people funneled in and all that stuff, but a lot of the areas surrounding that big main room are sort of, you know, kind
If you
of
go straight down
linear,
there.
There's just like
narrow
long hallways.
hallways
Yeah.
to fight down.
In a way, it reminded me of Unreal 1, not necessarily UT, but Unreal
Yeah,
1 in
that's
that regard.
It's a very similar style, yeah. In this room too, some of those shapes actually ended up being a little awkward to navigate around.
Snaggy and
Yeah, you end up
Yeah, they
bouncing
look like they
around.
should go somewhere.
Yeah, especially like that little
Jumping
bit
on
that
the
has
lip.
the ammo laying on there. It would be nice to just kind of mirror the shape from the other side of that doorway, maybe, and just kind of make it a little bit more cohesive looking. Because when ramps and walls meet in a single point, it tends to create some awkward geometry.
because it's ambiguous as to where you can actually start climbing up that.
Yeah.
So down this area, it tends to feel a little bit linear, and it's not. It doesn't. When you're down in this part of the map, it feels like you're very disconnected from that big room. I mean, you're underneath it now,
Yeah.
but it you know, all of the fights going on up there, and you feel like you kind of just want to get back to the
Actually,
action.
Yeah,
if
you
you
wanna
turn
get back
around
to
and
the
you go
action
the other
of this
way
one.
in that big room, like down to the left,
left,
behind you,
Oh,
behind you.
this way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The other left.
Like that's a good example
Right.
too. Here, the flak area, like the whole approach into that space is super linear, and you have, you know, at least the two doorways there leading up where you can kind of do ring around the rosy, but overall progression from the very top down to the bottom is still a very linear shot. That
Just a
doesn't
wide hallway.
Kind of.
And once you get here, there's not much you can do.
You go up there.
Yeah.
That's about it. Yeah.
And it's very, very steep. So it's
So-
that's the other thing I noticed. It's a very, very vertical map.
Mm-hmm.
So things start to feel disconnected. Like when you're standing right here, there's no way to really interact with this room other than this
Right.
very steep, very narrow hallway. And so just even standing right next to
Yeah.
it, you're
And it's
already disconnected.
The reason that we have these kinds of criticisms is that we actually had a really good time in this main area. So
Mhm.
we'd really like to see
More
some of
of
those other
this,
areas
yeah.
feel like they kind of tie together more.
Yeah, it's
Like-
just, I mean, it's a general thing that I remind myself, or try reminding myself of a lot as well. It's just, you know, once you start noticing that your gameplay is getting a little bit too linear and you sort of kind of have people chasing each other through hallways,
That's a bit
I try
awkward.
to basically just make an effort to think of any sort of key spot, weapon spots, armor spots that you have on the map. Think of at least having, you know, 2 different ways to get there, so you actually have the potential to kind of try and predict where somebody might be going, try cut people off. Otherwise, you just kind of, you know, you basically just race around
Can
the
you go
map
back to the
trying
middle
to catch up.
top area, Jim?
One real quick thing is I love this idea of the armor being kind of this little separated room with a window.
But this room is too small.
But well, that doesn't even bother me as much as the fact that when you're coming into it, you can't see the armor
Yeah.
from
true.
either direction.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you want to
You
know.
can see it from here.
You want to
Not from
know
there.
whether or not it's
Yeah.
available.
Also, the doorways are actually a little bit small too. You
You
basically
get
just
hit
get
on
caught
that.
if you try to dodge out of there.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So where do you want me to go, Nick?
No, it's cool.
Back to the center area.
Some of this stuff here is a little bit awkward too. If you turn around 180, you kind of have the hallway going through that you're looking at right now, and then you also have the space where you're in right now with
Hallway,
the columns.
Triangle shapes.
Hallway.
Um,
You could probably open a lot of that up into a
yeah,
much
I can
kind
see
of
how it
wider, broader
might have
feeling
been a
area.
line of sight concern or something, and that's why that bit is there. But it might actually read a lot better to just kind of
Get
Just
rid
have
of
the
it.
line of
you could
sight.
even actually emphasize the columns on the left side, and even put another one in there, and sort of do this column alcove thing that you
Yeah.
can you know, kind of glide in to take cover, but keep the other side open and just get rid of that big triangular
Yeah, I
wall
agree.
piece there.
Yep.
Because you could actually you could carry that through even further down towards the ramp there
Mhm.
where it goes down. That's kind of like a cool repeating visual element too.
Yeah. The level definitely
have
gives me like
this-
a deck vibe.
Let's continue off right here. So there's like a little ledge you can walk on.
Cool. What was the last
There's a
level
little
we
trap
played?
in the middle here too.
There's a
Oh, yeah.
CTF map too, but we're gonna save that for
Mhm.
next week.
Are we?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, okay.
Yeah, I'll save that for next week. Again, visibility on that is like blind corners are kind of bad, I think.
It's actually kind of weird too. Is above the shock rifle, if you go back up the ramp that you just came from, it's actually kind of a cool nook right ahead.
I never even found that.
Yeah, but it's an enforcer sitting there. But it actually looks like a neat spot for something that you
What is that?
consider more valuable. There's a redeemer up there.
How do you get it?
You actually have to go back to where the shield belt is.
Oh god, ran around.
Yeah, if
So
you
that would
go-
actually be, well, if you could track someone and get them, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
That's the
I think the
idea.
idea is that you could splash damage somebody who's trying to get it up there, but the window that you'd get it would be so narrow that you basically have to wait out for a long time.
I never found that yesterday.
Yeah.
This section, there's a map that Dave Splinsky did for UT3. It's one of the early TDM maps we did, but this section reminds me of that.
Mm.
Yep, this spot here kind of feels a little bit narrow too. I
Awkward.
wonder you could actually even, if you look back, you
Connect
could
all of that
you,
into
yeah,
one
you
big
could
area.
you could just break that entire wall down right there to the right, and just basically have the two ramps funnel down
Yeah.
directly.
Mhm.
Um,
I'm sorry, that ball.
It might even be cool to you could still keep that little, that kind of bit that you're looking at there right now, and just have the ramps continue on the sides or something.
Oh, and then it ran
Um,
off the edge. Wah,
You can probably wall dodge over there, but
Oh wow, and you can't see it once you get up too.
So we're going to be introducing Sid's level? Temple?
Yes. Do you want to drive, Sid, on your own map?
sure, I'll drive.
Cool.
All right.
So what does the trap do in this one?
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
Sid-
The trapezy, I guess hence the name hydraulics, like a, I don't know if
find
it's
it,
supposed to be
Jim?
pressure chamber or some sort of other
So
time
So it'd be
to the
cool to have
hydraulic
like a little
element.
effect.
gonna go back up
all
the
I know
top
is
there?
I died.
So I was trying to look for the redeemer. So where do you get to the?
Oh, there's a little nook there up there to the right. There's
Oh, up
it's
there.
a little
Oh
thing you have
my.
to wall dodge over on to that little ledge, and then you can dodge over to the redeemer.
Nice,
in the
very
dark.
nice. A little bit
Alright,
of bunny
sorry,
track
so
right
go
there.
back to the center.
Hidden goodie. But yeah, I know that Race has been working on this for a long time, and he was specifically looking for feedback because he wanted people to try and play it. So I think it's definitely got a ton of potential.
Shoot the green thing up there. That's glass. Oh,
There you
Oh.
go. Boom.
Just trying to get in there, but you can see.
cool.
All right, so let's take a look at Temple.
All right. Let me shut this down.
You've got camera fans in the chat, so remember when you're flying around.
Oh, yeah.
I'll try to make everybody
Move
throw up.
slowly. All right, I can exit out of here. Yes.
Alt F4. You just quit.
Kabam.
I wasn't sure if that was going to shut down anything. All right.
Cool.
Motion sickness engage.
Not that I was
Let's keep
necessarily
Sid
much better.
calm.
So have you
Alright.
posted about this already?
Yeah, actually, the
forums? Yeah.
map's been in last week's build
Cool.
too. We just hadn't actually got
Talk
a
about
chance
it
to
a
look.
bit.
Was it the updated version? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
it
we have
was,
the
yeah.
updated version in the rotation right now. So
Do you want to run around the level so we go slower?
Sure, might not be a bad idea. So basically, what I wanted. Oops.
You can
Such
have
a
11
fun
still.
map.
There we go. Nope.
We'll get there.
Almost.
There it is.
There we go. Happy times.
All right. So I'm gonna try and make everybody motion sick just by moving around a bit. What I wanted to do with this is kind of just fulfill my own craving of making a kind of Unreal 1 style temple map. And back when the community guys were here for
Bishop.
last event, we also kind of talked about, hey, it'd be nice
What
to
did
have
they want?
another TDM capable map.
Yeah.
That's what they brought up. So that was also kind of part of the plan for this was to.
A nice medium to large size.
Yep. I actually ended
Deathmatch
up
level.
gutting quite a few of the rooms after the initial version, and after we started running around for it a little bit,
Mhm.
because it tends to be really easy to just kind of let yourself go a little bit and go too large. And
You were targeting 8 players, right?
yeah, basically the idea is to allow people to play 4-on-4 TDM in this and have it fit and work well. So there's basically 3 key areas. This one here spawns the U damage.
That's a bad spot to be in.
It's a great,
It's a great spot
to be in.
fish people off of the railing up here, and there's a few different ways to get there. There's jump boots down on the map that you can use to get there. You can shock core jump up here too if you don't suck.
Oh, yeah?
If you don't have a
rocket
crappy
jump.
mouse, we all know it's the mouse.
Yeah. Well, anyways.
There's the mouse.
Yeah, most definitely. So there's the U-damage area over there. There's the armor over here. So the idea would be that, you know, if a team is holding the shield spot that's across the opposite end of the map, you still have the armor area to fall back on, try and hold that, and kind of regroup, try and attack the U-damage and swing the match. You can also get up there from
And
over
it's great
here.
grabbing that and then running back to the sniper over here.
Oh, we
Yep.
need to set up that weapon properly so it glows.
Yeah. And the sniper is kind of the in-between spot here where that's
Such a great spot.
also,
you can
you
just
know,
wreck people up there.
a spot to try and control basically because it gives you access to the shield, which you can also kind of get through some
Oh,
various
I
shortcuts
didn't
over
know
here.
Oh,
that.
thanks.
Bunny track.
You can also access that by lift jumping up here
Yeah.
and jumping over. There's
Ooh.
access behind the shield belt as well, and there's a jump you can make to get across
Tricky.
straight from the jump pad without landing on the bridge. There's actually 2 shock rifles in the map too, so
Just to make Matt happy.
make myself happy.
I actually really like. I actually really like this area. There's a lot of
Yes,
fun.
definitely.
Yeah, there's
There are 2 jump pads going up there.
One other thing that I ended up doing too was open up the space a lot more.
Right, rather than the one little
Yeah,
spot in the middle.
previously the
That's
drop downs
my
were
favorite
super tiny
spot around there.
and just kind of in the back here, but now you can interact a little bit more easily with the area down below, and you can also, you know, engage
out.
people up there a little bit more. And actually, also people who don't have GitHub access will probably notice that the flag cannons changed a little bit again.
Mhm.
So now we have some nicer
It feels much more UT99.
yeah, visual messaging on there for, you know, it feels a little bit more powerful. The speed is up a tiny bit again from where it was brought down to. Because I made a whole bunch of tweaks last Friday.
Not all
kind
of them
try
are
and
awesome.
get
Well, not all of them are
Well-
awesome, and we didn't update properly, so that they were still slower than we intended it to be.
Mhm.
The thing that ended up just feeling bad sort of was the speed. It felt a little bit,
Yeah,
you
you
know,
couldn't
kind of
actually hit anything up
meh,
close.
you know.
But now it feels much, much better.
And there's a nice spread up close.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
What it lets you do is get a little bit more. It's a little more forgiving up close.
yeah, we want to really
Which
have
is my,
this.
that's the thing I was missing the most, is when
Yeah.
you get close
Right.
to somebody, give them that flack to the face.
There's
you
supposed
know
to be
they're
the
gonna-
trade-off with this gun that you're, you know, it's supposed to be situationally powerful.
Right.
And
We went back and
you
played
know,
UT99 and found that it's practically the primary is practically useless beyond close range.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And we were
it's-
like,
it's-
damn, we want that back.
It's sort of faintly useful at medium range where you can
Right.
still, you know, hit random shards and stuff.
But that's what the secondary is for.
But really what this also means, you know, in terms of level design is you want to be able to design cool areas for the weapons and
Right.
have, you know, basically,
bounce
hey,
around
this
corners.
is the area where if you run in there and somebody has a flag, you're going to be kind of screwed if you don't, you know,
Yeah.
pay attention. And that's what we're trying to push it towards, is have it be super lethal and dangerous up close
Yep.
and tight spaces. But, you know, hey, primary fire is not useless to try. It's not so useful to try and snipe somebody across the map. And you still also always have alt fire
Mhm.
as the, you know, hard to hit medium range kind of attack. That's
Yep.
still super powerful as well.
So yeah,
but yeah.
we're digging this map so far.
So far we've been having a good time playing FFA and TDM. Looking forward to more people online actually bashing it a little bit
Mhm.
and just, you know, just
And
looking forward
people
to some
can get
feedback.
this, they have to get the pack files, is that right, Zach?
This is actually in the build.
No, this is on the build.
Oh, this is the, okay.
Yeah.
Yep, that's been in the build since last Friday.
Such a fun map.
And you can actually do some really crazy stuff with the boots here too. There's like some
What about
a
the
few
other ones that we
shortcuts
looked
you can
at?
take where
Whoa, jeez, man, what the hell?
You suck.
That was amazing.
No wonder you kick everybody's butt.
Yeah,
I wish.
that was fantastic.
But yeah, boots are super powerful in this too, and kind of an important thing to hold.
Oh, we're right through there.
Oops, you can do some tricky stuff through the windows too.
Yeah, I was doing that the other day.
Yeah. And also a lot of the initial tweaks, I don't know, many people probably didn't see the initially checked in version, but a lot of the connectivity tweaks that I ended up making were stuff like this to
Yeah.
basically just, you know, allow some more
If you see someone up there,
combat
you want to be able to
between
engage them,
stuff.
right?
You can intercept people, you can try and, like, you know,
Right.
do this sort of thing. I think Zach was actually looking at a video the other day of a guy, you know, using goo through the window on somebody using a jump pad, stuff like that.
That's brilliant.
So people who play the build this weekend will have the new flak, right? The flak with the changes.
Yep.
This weekend, yes.
Okay.
Or if they have GitHub access, they can
Then check it out
Grab
right
it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think overall we're pretty happy with where it's at right now.
I know I am. This feels right.
I can't wait to see this all meshed up and, you know, the grimy, viney stuff growing off.
Yeah. I was basically
like a next gen UT99 style.
This is me being super
Yeah.
nostalgic about
Yeah.
Unreal 1 and stuff too. So I was thinking of like
Yeah.
Shizra water temple
Exactly. Yep.
environments, that sort of thing.
Glowy blue water.
Hanging vines and
Yeah,
roots
exactly.
You have
and
to have some crystals.
yeah,
Some crystals in the bottom somewhere.
fluorescent water and all that, all that stuff.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Maybe we can come
that's-
up with some cool backstory, like, field lattice generators.
No, we really don't really want to do that.
Tra-la-la-la-la-la-la.
F yeah.
Let's bounce.
Oh gosh.
I don't know if the people in the forums get that one.
I think that
I think
many
they
of them
do.
Thank
I
you,
know
Penny
I know
Arcade.
the guys from Buff do, because they actually had threads and threads and threads with the F yeah, dude.
No, F yeah, they definitely get it. It's the Let's Bounce thing. That was a Penny
Actually,
Arcade
one
reference.
other thing that I kind of somewhat
There's a face right there. I
subconsciously,
just
yep,
noticed.
There are
subconsciously
faces
do
everywhere,
and
Stacey.
sort of purposefully do also is
It's
put
awesome.
faces everywhere.
Yeah.
Especially in temple style environments. So there's this guy up here. It almost kind of looks like he has horns.
It's a bit of
there's
a
these
Where's
guys
Waldo.
over here too.
There's a guy right there. Yeah.
Whoop.
Look at that.
This guy to the right. This guy directly to the right.
Yep.
There.
There's him.
Oh, he's cute. He's got a little piggy nose.
It's like a dwarf helmet or something like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So like, yeah, big chunky architecture.
No, I'm
and
gonna
just
die more because we'll
silly
be looking at
chunky
the faces all the time.
Any
So-
more?
So,
Probably.
people, don't be shocked because we're gonna
Actually,
we're gonna let Nick sneak out here, and,
Oh, yeah.
and he's gonna be replaced with Pete Hayes.
Super Pete.
Super Pete Hayes.
I think
Cool.
that was your cue.
Pete.
Thank you, Nick.
There you go.
We need a bigger couch so we can have everybody on.
But yeah, I think that those are the only three faces that actually survived. It was one in the other part of the map that I ended up gutting out, but in the end, all turned out for the better.
You are just talking to your wrist.
But yeah, that's the map.
And are we gonna play this one again today?
Maybe.
This map's super fun. So if you guys get the build this week, make sure you check it out. It's definitely a lot of fun, even with bots. So.
And
So
get in and
now-
play early before Sid can get online and attack you with his secret
Alright,
shoot jumps.
I'll let you drive.
So now introducing the newest member of our team. Senior artist Pete Hayes is here with us. Pete has been doing some fantastic work with the shock rifle, and he's been going back and forth with the guys on the forums, and they've been giving suggestions. So this shock rifle started with one of Gooba's concepts, right?
Yeah, definitely. Gooba did up the first pass of it. He'd done multiple passes, and that's kind of one that he sprung at the last second that a lot of people gravitated towards, and we also kind of liked internally. We didn't really name it the final concept, but we thought it was a good starting place. So that's kind of where we started. So the biggest thing is it's been very, very painful for me to like go through this whole process. Probably almost as painful as the people on the forums. This is the shirt that I wore, so this is how I feel every time I go into the shock rifle thread. Like, just stuff melting away from my body. But it's been really fun, and hopefully at the end of the process, you guys will understand like why I've done the stuff that I've done and the whole.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the whole points of doing this wasn't necessarily to pick a shock rifle as much as it was to show people the process of
Yeah.
how we need weapons to be built, and
And
you don't
what a
just jump
long
straight into the
process
high
it is.
poly and all those other little things. And if nothing else, the iteration and back and forth that we go through.
Yeah, a lot of iteration, definitely. And one of the biggest things with a game that's all about shooting and all about guns, you want to make sure that these go through due process, and it's not just, hey, this is the coolest concept we think ever, let's just model exactly, drop it in the game and hope that it works, because
Yeah.
you have to play with it, you have to feel it. So in that process, basically where I'm at is I'm about 60% done with the high poly. I took a break from the proto mesh, which hopefully you guys have been playing around in Engine, and it gives you a little bit more of a feel for just the very blocked out base forms. It's not something that's super detailed, it doesn't have fancy materials, it's just here's the forms, how does it feel to shoot, how does it feel to move around. Obviously that doesn't really give you a good idea of how the final weapon might look, so I took a break on that and started trying to make progress on the high poly. So this is kind of where we're at, and as you can see, I've slowly started adding more details, but I'm still keeping the base forms pretty clean. I won't rehash all of my disclaimer text. I'll be posting these on the forums for you guys to have your fun with.
This is such a great shot.
And so I'm just trying to refine the main forms. I'm trying to capture the essence of Guba's concept. I'm also taking in a lot of feedback, obviously, from the forums, which I love all the paintovers, all the comments, all that stuff. I save every single paintover into a separate folder, and I'm just constantly reviewing that stuff as I'm going through the process. And obviously, we have very hardcore, diehard fans internally who are making the game. So trying to factor in everybody's thoughts and opinions, and just my biggest thing is just moving forward. I always want to be making progress and moving forward. So as you can see, getting just a little bit more detail on things. At this stage of the process, I've started doing little material breakouts. That doesn't necessarily mean that this is the way it's going to be textured or this is the look. What I'm trying to find is more of just separating those forms. One of the coolest things about UE4 is now that we have physically based materials, we'll be able to have very punchy, real-world materials that these weapons are made out of. And so, towards before, we'd paint and we'd kind of just do our rust and our grime and our dings and stuff. It's kind of a different workflow now. You have actual physical materials that are blended with masks. And so, at a very early phase, I started thinking about how could these materials be broken up and how can we have really high contrast between the different components on the weapon. So again, just trying to show, and with the purple stuff, just keep in mind that that's just my placeholder for cool effects, material stuff, emissives, particle stuff, a million different things that'll be tied to gameplay. So the main design philosophy that I was kind of told by Perna is that the shock rifle is a very kind of sexy, deadly, surgical type weapon. And so when I go back and I watch like UT99 shock rifle combo videos, it's just people surgically picking each other apart
Pixel hunters.
with a very accurate weapon. And so just trying to capture that kind of vibe, sleek, futuristic, very manufactured, not something like the flat cannon, which is very industrial. I envision this with like a sexy necklace female or something, just owning somebody all over the map. You know, that was kind of.
Well, I really like that this version is recognizable as a rifle as opposed to some of our other ones, which went a little space gadgety in the past. So I feel like we're getting back to our roots a little bit, which is good.
Yeah. I can see too, like, I mean, you were basically incorporating a bunch of different versions from different concepts too, as it was just evolving as you were building it, right? Because that's what you were talking about earlier, where some things you just don't know how well they're going to work out until you actually start building it and seeing it in your hands in the game, basically, so to speak, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The previous version of the concept, I know a lot of people were pretty attached to because it had a bit more of an angle here. And so once I got into first person, I definitely recognized that it did need more of a break. I didn't want to go quite as extreme as that. But again, it's just factoring in a ton of different feedback, a ton of suggestions, and then trying it out. So, you know, this is far, far from the finished version of the weapon. My plan of action now is to take the changes that I've done to the high poly, retrofit those to the prototype mesh that's in the engine so that those two are synchronized. So we have a prototype mesh. Doesn't look as detailed as this. I'm not going to do unwraps and process and, you know, all that stuff. but I want to at least get the proportions lined up so everybody's on the same page. You can feel the proportions, play with it in the engine, and then you can look at the renders and kind of extrapolate how it might look. And again, even at this stage, it's only at 60%. So here's where the current state of the first-person view is.
Nice.
If you've been following on the forums, you know that the first-person view is very tricky because of the field of view, and it's just super subtle. Even like 3 or 4 degrees angling of the camera dramatically affects how the weapon looks in first person. And so I discussed on the forums we can have a separate first person and third person weapon mesh, and so you can fiddle with some of the dimensions. So there's still lots of room that we can kind of play and manipulate these things. The other important thing anytime you're doing first person weapons obviously is the recoil view. In a weapon, in a game especially like UT, you're firing so much, you're seeing the recoil animation almost more than you're seeing the idle animation. And so you want to make sure that the angles of that and the perspective show off well. You have to be careful because model details like these fiddly bits on the top of the vent there,
you may never see them.
they may look good in 3D modeled in, but once they're processed into a normal map, they may not translate. So a lot of these finite details, I'm just using floating geometry, and I'm keeping the underlying base mesh very, very simple. So even though I have a few turbo smooths and I'm cutting in detail, major chunks of detail, I'm leaving finite detail either out of the picture totally or floating geometry. So once I retrofit this to the prototype mesh, if we come back and we go, hey, we have drastic changes, then I don't lose a bunch of time on the high poly.
Right.
You don't want to go too far with the high poly because then changes become very difficult and time consuming because you're just dealing with that additional geometry.
One good example of that, I think, was when you were adjusting like the bottom part of the gun the other day that the ammo is attached to, right? And it was all it took was like, hey, I'm gonna, because it's in a separate element, you can just click on it, drag it up, and see what it feels like without having to adjust, spend an
Everything
hour
else,
to tie everything back together and all that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And once we get to weapon customization and the community being able to do their own things, there's lots of different things we can do. Like if you don't like that kind of ammo counter, we could have 4 different versions of that. Or if you really liked, if you're just completely in love with the barrel on the previous version, then you could swap that out. The way that I build all of my models, even down to the low poly finished model state, is very modular. There's lots of components. So you could even if you weren't a great modeler, you were just learning, you could take one of my models and reverse engineer it and plug in your own separate components. And so I know the process for this guy has gone a little bit slow at the start, but I've been trying to think of all those things in advance. We've been doing a lot of testing and figuring things out.
I think that'll actually be really cool too when we get to the point where you can actually take it apart just like this picture.
So this is really cool.
Start replacing pieces, right? So I mean, when the weapons become customizable, I think it's going to be great.
So this is twofold. This is me, a way that I kind of nerd out and just try and figure out the true functionality of this weapon. But it's also a way to just illustrate, here's the different ways that we can customize it. And so I know on the forums everybody loves doing paint overs, so I figure this might be a fun
this will make it really easy to get the paint overs.
Well, just tell me what this thing is. I'm not sure. I researched extensively on Beyond Unreal.
There's not really a lot about
and
the
I'm
weapons.
a hardcore
Some are mining
fan,
weapons, and but you don't really know a lot about the weapons.
There's something to be said too for somewhat of a balance there, right? Like to some degree, we care that the weapons kind of look and feel like they make sense. But we don't care about them, making sense.
We
to the
don't
point
need
that
to
you
come up with the field
write
lattice
a
generator.
scientific paper about it that
Yes.
actually makes it, perfectly plausible or any of that. Basically, if the language feels good, it looks somewhat believable, and it's fun to play with, then we kind of hit our goal. We don't need to really dive too deep into the underlying fiction of it.
And it is also very important to note that with this UT, regardless of what version we end up with, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the version that everybody's going to be using.
Be using.
Our goal ultimately is to make them very customizable so that you can do what you want to the weapon.
And not
Yeah.
just change skins and stuff like that. You can put a different part. Not that it's going to change gameplay or
Hopefully,
anything like
yeah,
that.
hopefully. Yeah.
Hopefully that's
anything
where
that
we're
doesn't
headed.
change gameplay.
Could you
we're
put
down
the
for.
last one that you just had up?
Yeah. The other big thing that I want to push for, and I haven't even talked to you guys about it yet, but hopefully we can do this. I think once I retrofit this to the prototype phase and get that back in engine, you guys can probably get that in the updated build you said this weekend. I can get it knocked out today pretty easy. Is that we just shelve this for a while and we just let it percolate and give people a chance to give their feedback, whatever, because we really, excuse me, I think we need to compare them to the rest of the weapons in the game. And so my goal is to try and get prototype weapons that are at least, you know, in the 70-80% range as far as a concept. It doesn't have to be the concept, the final concept. But we have our main set of weapons all in the same kind of rough prototype phase. And then not only are we judging the individual weapons, we're judging the weapons as a whole together as a set. And do they feel
and
unified?
also, like, as systems come online, and say we came up with some weird customization system, if you had to go back and redo the high poly for every single weapon, that would totally blow.
Yeah, or you come up with a crazy new idea. For example, the stuff Steve's doing with the bio rifle, you know, and that needs to, that new functionality needs to be represented
Reflected in the model.
Yeah, there's lots of cool opportunities. So I guess the biggest thing I can say is just be patient, have fun, and enjoy the process. I know that if you're an artist and you're a visual person, you want to pick your absolute favorite concept, and then you want to see that concept realized in reality immediately, put it in the game, ship it, you know? But like, we have to go a little bit slower than that and be a little more iterative. And so hopefully as we progress, you guys see that process and can enjoy it more and know
whether
that
it's sound, music, models, animations, levels, we always tend to put them in and let them sit for a while, because the second you change something, people are going to react. And we want to get past reaction and get to response, and that usually takes a little longer.
And don't forget, we have the thread in the forums. You can jump in, because I see a lot of comments about, I don't like this view. Oh, I love that view. People really like seeing the broken down pieces right here, because people are getting ideas of what they'd like to see. So head over to the thread. Please don't make Pete cry.
I think my favorite in that thread.
I'm a very sensitive artist.
It completely fell apart. It completely fell apart into just total madness. Because you came in and were like, please, you know, people play nice, and then the very next post is Pete being like, "I'm back from vacation. I'm ready. This is so fun."
Well, the problem is I wrote that before I read the thread. Before it, I might have responded differently if I would have read all those pages.
It was perfect. It was perfect.
Yeah. But no, it's fun, and I understand you guys are just passionate, and the people that get a little more riled up than others, they just don't understand the process yet. There's nothing wrong with that, and I definitely appreciate all the feedback and the passion, and I just want to make as cool a guns as you guys.
Especially the shock rifle, because it's like, I think it's probably the most popular weapon in the game.
Well, it's UT signature.
It's what people get owned with the most, right?
Yeah.
Or that's what differentiates the really, really good players from the good players.
Yes.
People will have lots of opinion over what weapon kills who the most and what, but it's the most, I guess, I don't know, the most elegant UT weapon I can think of.
Looking
to
at
me, it's
you,
like
Hypno
the best
and Chumbo.
weapon of all shooters ever, period, so far that I've seen. I don't know, just the versatility and kind of the shock rifle is a weapon that you can show off with, which.
One of the things I loved in UT 2004 was somebody made a map just for testing out different weapons. It was like a firing range, and they made a shock rifle range where there were moving platforms and everything. And that was the first time I ever actually got good at using the shock rifle. So I'd like to see somebody make one of those
training range.
Little training range for
new
doing
challenge
shock
for the
balls.
community. Firing range.
So
interactive firing range.
Very fun.
Remember, still very, very rough. We're going to get the prototype updated, and then I'm not sure where we're going to go from there. We might, hopefully we just start a new weapon and get it up to the same point that this is. And
flat cannon.
There's also, there's flat cannon, there's the Enforcer, and there's a rocket launcher, which are all very in similar states as this high poly. You know, they're pretty close, but I would love to help those guys get their prototype meshes in the game, so that they don't finish the high poly 100%, and then they get kind of bit with,
Right.
hey,
Have to go back
community
and
wants
change
to
the-
change this,
Yeah.
or they don't like how it feels now that it's finally in the game, or,
Yeah.
you know.
But we're listening, so make sure you stop in and say hello to Pete nicely, and and let us
Or
know
don't
what you
be
think.
nice,
Or
I'm
don't
cool.
be nice. No,
I'm a
we're
big boy.
okay. Yeah, if I think if we weren't okay, that people weren't nice, we'd be in big trouble. So.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's cool to see everybody really, really passionate, and you know, it's crazy because the shock rifle has changed so much every single UT that's been out, and so depending on which version of UT was seared into your brain as a young child, you know, that's your favorite version of the weapon.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm just trying to appease as many people as humanly possible.
And one other thing that somebody mentioned, I don't even know if I should bring this up, but I'm going to anyway. They really like the fact that there are sometimes that you could just jump off with one hand with the shock rifle and shoot with the animations. Are we looking at doing anything like that for this one? Or?
We were talking about it
Yeah.
yesterday, I think. So I mean, like, stylistically, right now we're using temp anims for everything.
Right. So that's
so
something we'll be looking at in the future.
I definitely like that personally.
Yeah, same
'cause
here,
It's
'cause
just kind
that's
of
very
it's a
UT.
more, you know, sort of acrobatic feel where we can very situationally sort of say, hey, you're running forwards and you're looking right, so therefore you're doing the one-handed thing, and you're not forced to always do the, you know, double.
Animation systems have come so far since the original
Yeah.
UT that I really feel like that's one place where we can make
Yeah.
major advances.
We should be able, especially also since we'll most likely be able to rely on one skeleton for a lot of those
Yeah.
things. Basically, one set
Right.
for everybody is. We can do some really cool contextual stuff that sort of does little one-offs here and there, you know, for the,
Yeah.
be it how you interact with walls and how you jump and dodge off of stuff and weapon specific.
Even that stuff, yeah, will affect the weapons and could potentially affect the weapon designs and the animations
Right.
and the functionality. So,
Yeah.
you know, if we were just gonna say, okay, let's do a new UT3 weapon, that would be easy. I could knock that out super quick. But because we're still so early in the process with other things like, you know, how are we animating, hooking up, doing all the first person hands, you know, there's just a ton of things that we're figuring out as we're modeling the weapon.
And moving along, things
Yep.
like hitting a wall with your hand and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So, all right. So moving along, yesterday afternoon we went to play some Duel, and Joe introduced a little bit of a lobby system to us.
Yes.
And there
I
came
don't want to
up-
steal his thunder,
No,
but we
no, no.
do have. So we settled on a HUD design, and Joe knocked out all the individual pieces. We got all the art set up, and then he started on this new lobby system. So
And how
HUD,
quickly he
HUD
put it
coming
together,
very
couldn't believe
very
it.
soon. New lobby system coming very very soon. New launcher is in the works. If anybody's in the Fortnite online test, they get a preview of the new launcher, but. That's all coming on engine level, but so there's a lot of kind of big systems that are
Yep.
finally starting to fall into place. But I think that the lobby system is going to be the big one that,
It was
that really
so,
changes
it was
the way
so
people
cool.
play.
It was really cool
Yeah.
because you're used to the old days sitting on IRC or you're all in TeamSpeak and everything. Here you can just basically not to steal Joe's thunder, but you can
Yeah.
basically sit in the lobby system, start your own games
Let's
up.
just
and
say it's a
everything.
lot cooler than.
It's a
server
lot
browser,
cooler
but-
than the
Yeah,
than what we're
it's
doing now.
a vast improvement. It still has a lot of work. We're
Mhm.
still figuring out a lot of how the functionality is actually going to fall into place, but it is a significant improvement over the 1990s server browser that
Yes.
people are used to seeing in UT.
And we're not going to have a halt of work over the holiday season, but it's definitely going to slow down because we have 2 weeks off. The studio's closed for 2
Right.
weeks.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to get in as much as we can before next weekend's build, because there won't be a build for 2 weeks after
Mhm.
that. But some of us will still be working on stuff. We're talking about doing a community play test.
Yeah, we're going to stream next week, and then we'll probably be off for 2 weeks, but we're going to try and see if we can get people to come and do
Come
like
play.
a game with devs sort of thing where we commit to being online. Maybe it's the same time slot or whatever, and have
Mhm.
people come in and play with us.
And I'm sure a few of us will just randomly be playing the build online.
Oh, yeah,
and
for
Yeah,
everything
the people
anyways,
that are
so-
still in
Hopping in.
town will still be
Yeah.
here and playing just randomly in servers like we have.
They're
been.
not sleeping in until 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well, it's because
Which
they were
will
up
be
late
okay.
playing
Well-
UT.
What did I
Okay.
could?
So make sure that you jump in tomorrow for the engine stream because they're going to be introducing John Jones. He's the new content curator for the marketplace. So we have somebody in place for that who's going to start looking at what people want to have in the marketplace, and he's going to curate all that.
Which is
And
important because that work will also roll over into
to
the UT
us.
marketplace. Yeah.
Yes, so yeah, we're excited about him starting with us. And they'll also be kicking off the game jam. So come hassle Chance tomorrow and come say hello to them. And we'll see everybody next week. Make sure you get that build this week so you can play new Temple. See you, everybody.